Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies was the first in what was planned to be a series of spin-off Mythologies games. Originally, they planned a Mythologies game for Baraka and Liu Kang, and the latter would eventually get his spin-off game later along with Kung Lao and Shaolin monks. Now we all know that Sub-Zero Mythologies isn't that good of a game and will probably never get another Mythologies game ever. And honestly, it's kind of unfortunate because the story of Sub-Zero Mythologies is actually really good and it's really important to the overall story of Mortal Kombat. It's a shame because I don't think we'll ever get an adaptation or the game will ever be retold ever. In today's video, we're going to be talking about just that, why Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies will never get a remaster or be retold or adapted in any way, shape, or form. Before we get started, make sure that if you enjoyed this video, go check out some of my other videos, and if there's anything you want to see me cover in a video, let me know down in the comments below, and if I make a video about it, I'll give you a shout out. And with all that out of the way, let's get into the video. Before we get into why we'll never get an adaptation of the game, we need to talk about the original game and how it was received. Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies was an action-adventure game released in 1997 for the PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64. It was a prequel to Mortal Kombat 1, not that one, this one, the original Mortal Kombat 1. Basically, you would play as the original Sub-Zero Bi-Han, and at the start of the game you were sent to the Shaolin Temple to get some scroll for Quan Chi, and you run into Scorpion and fight him and kill him. Now I'm just going to talk about the entire story of the game just so you fully understand it if you don't already. Now, in return for getting this scroll, Quan Chi would destroy the Shirai Ryu. The scroll was actually a map for the location of Shinnok's amulet. After this, Bi-Han was sent on another mission by Quan Chi, and that was to retrieve the amulet from the Temple of Elements. Bi-Han did this because he didn't know it was Shinnok's amulet. As far as he was concerned, it was just some regular amulet. In the temple, Sub-Zero fought through the Guardians, who were the elemental gods. Those being Fire God, Earth God, Water God, and the Wind God, who was actually Fujin. After Sub-Zero gets the amulet, Quan Chi takes it. Then Quan Chi tells Sub-Zero how he done goofed and fucked off home, even though he had just given Sub-Zero a reason to go after him. Raiden then appears and tells Sub-Zero to go after Quan Chi and get the amulet back. Sub-Zero agrees and is sent to the Netherrealm. There he fights Scorpion again. He also fights Serena, Kia, and Jataka, and he then tracks down Quan Chi and with the help of Serena defeats him. Sub-Zero steals the amulet from Shinnok, then escapes back to Earthrealm. No one knew this, but the amulet Sub-Zero had was actually a fake, and Quan Chi still held the real one. Sub-Zero then returns home and is invited to the Mortal Kombat tournament by Shang Tsung. Now, I'm leaving a lot out of that story recap, and I think the story is probably one of the better ones in the series. But as we all know, this game wasn't received particularly well, was it? The gameplay was the main thing that people hated. There's not much I can say that others already haven't said. I mean, the platforming is a nightmare and you need to make pinpoint accurate jumps on really small platforms. There's also this really weird inventory system that I don't entirely understand. Random enemies will just jump you, and it's not fair because they'll come right from the edge of the screen when you're at the edge of the screen, and for some reason they added a button to turn around when fighting someone, and they didn't just make it so you turn around automatically so you're locked onto who you're fighting. But if there's one good thing about this game, it's definitely the soundtrack. The soundtrack is so good. Anyways, now I'm going to talk about why we'll never get an adaptation. The reason we'll never get a remaster of Sub-Zero Mythologies is because there is still a stigma around the game 26 years later. The game is still horrendous gameplay-wise, and that's all anyone ever talks about when they talk about this game, is the gameplay. The stigma around this game is that all of it's horrible, the whole game is trash, when that isn't true at all, and now NetherRealm believes that's what the community thinks of the game, so they'd never even bother adapting or retelling this game. It's a shame because the story is really interesting, and the premise and concept of the game is really cool. Hell, even the graphics have aged really well. And it's annoying because people are going to see Mortal Kombat 1 and see all the retcons and changes to the story, and they'll think that's the character and that's always been the character, because there'll always be fans and people in the community, almost always new fans, that'll just never look back at the older games, especially older games that people say are bad. It's also a shame because even when the game was released, people hated it, which ruined plans for future Mythologies games like I talked about earlier. I mean, we could have got one for Baraka and Liu Kang, even though we did get Shaolin Monks 8 years later in 2005. And in Mortal Kombat X, they retconned Sub-Zero and Scorpion's rivalry to be entirely about Quan Chi and that he kills the Shirai Ryu and Scorpion's family, not Sub-Zero, which leads to a lot of fans believing that's what it always was, and it's the route a lot of Mortal Kombat media have taken when telling Scorpion's backstory. And because that's the case, Mythologies will never be adapted or retold in any way, and that makes it seem like the story is not important, when it's actually one of the most important pieces of Mortal Kombat lore. But a lot of fans don't know that because Mythologies just hasn't been adapted or retold at all. And I know that Mortal Kombat Legacy originally made Sub-Zero and Scorpion's rivalry about Quan Chi, but Mortal Kombat X popularized it. And so that's about it. If you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments below, and if there's anything you want to see me cover in a video, let me know down in the comments below, and if I make a video about it, I'll give you a shout out. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I will talk to you all later. Thank you.